Hello, everybody. Happy Christmas week. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, and also happy Hanukkah to all of those out there celebrating Hanukkah. This is one of my favorite videos to make. Cassidy rips Kelly Flanagan on Twitter, a public flogging, as it were. We love a good public flogging. Let's get into it. Follow me on Instagram, @DNeals. If you want to flog my bank account, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal. Oh, it's going to get silly to wrap up 2022. By the way, have you guys watched my best of 2022? It's a playlist I've put together all year long, which is all of my favorite videos. You can go find it on my channel. I was going to do an award ceremony and this and that, but time got away from us and we never did that. But if you want to nominate, leave a link in the comment section to your favorite video of mine of 2022 and we'll share it. All right, so we're going to get into this right now. Don't forget, you can check out my new podcast, which we did a soft launch in 2022 to get this puppy rolling for 2023. We've only done it for 2 months now, but it's a huge success. It's one of the top-rated entertainment news podcasts. Got to pat my own back here because we're having fun with it. Bachelor Rush Hour, and you can go check out that. I put together all of the different clips of the day with a unique intro only found on the podcast. Pretty soon I'll be doing interviews and more content over there that you will not get on this YouTube channel, so go subscribe and follow over there. Alrighty, let's jump into it. As you guys know, we've covered Cassidy Timbrooks quite extensively because of the amount of tea she's willing to publicly put out there. Just a quick reminder of the different videos we've made over the last year. Cassidy was on Clayton Echard's season of The Bachelor. She was unceremoniously sort of kicked off, after admitting she had a friends with benefit, which again, not a problem in my book. You had a friends with benefit, then you met a guy, then if things work out with the guy, you get rid of the friends with benefit. If not, you go back to the friends with benefit. Seems like a perfectly fine transaction to me. Either way, here's a few of the videos she made. She made a video demanding that men fill up her gas tank. Or I should say, we made a video, which again, just snark. She said not saying all men owe us a tank of gas, but definitely heavily implying that if they were to offer to buy us a full tank of gas, it would be misogynistic and frankly outright problematic to refuse what you are. I'd go so far as to say inherently owed. At very least, she speaks pretty good English here, or she writes pretty good English. And then she, of course, railed on Kayla. This was a pretty big video 8 months ago. Bachelor villain Cassidy slams Kayla Quinn for her shocking and insensitive snake removal video. I mean, yeah, you don't just kill a snake and put it on Instagram. A perfectly harmless snake. She said, "I'll never not be critical of the completely out of touch and exorbitantly wealthy doing out-of-pocket, completely insensitive stuff and thinking they can sweep it under the rug. That's a flipping promise." And I'll tell you what, say what you want about Cassidy, she delivers on that promise, calling others out. We'll get to what she said about Kelly Flanagan in a second. She also called out Gabby for having Nate's back in the old Nate gate. And then she talks about quitting her job and got stiffed by Bachelor in Paradise. Apparently she was ready to board Bachelor in Paradise and then they never called her. She also slams Bachelor Nation influencer lifestyle. She says, "I've gotten to really know a lot of the people who follow me, and I've got to say, I can't believe how many people try to turn momentary fame into a check." Now, I disagree with Cassidy here that it's a sort of problem to turn momentary fame into a check. I always say, use whatever tools you have to increase your wealth or business or whatever. As I always say, try to keep it ethical if you can. Don't go using your Bachelor fame to bankrupt others in whatever pyramid scheme you have. But of course, Kelly Flanagan is the perfect sort of free capitalist on her Instagram. She's promoting Grey Goose and this and that. Hey, what's this? And I'm all about it. Go for it, Kelly. Get your money. If you'd rather do this over serving as a lawyer, there is no shame in the game as far as I'm concerned. If your audience decides they don't want to follow you anymore because all you do is post ads, that's part of the economy, right? But here's what people have a problem with, namely Cassidy. Kelly posted this on her Instagram stories. Maybe it was deleted, maybe it expired. I'm not really sure. She said, "Sad girl, lost my wallet in either 2 of my Ubers today, and neither one of them speak English to try to help." Now, my first thought was, I don't think that was proper English. Let me try to Now, we have a lot of English teachers that are getting, English boners right now as you get excited to correct me. But let's try to correct this. Lost my wallet in either 2 of my Lost my wallet in either 2 of my Ubers today, and neither one of them speak English. Neither one of them spoke English, or neither one of them speaks English to try to help or to try and help. Either way, I don't know. Complicated. at the very least. And of course, it's kind of like, I understand how this can come off to, this is one of those like, why don't you just speak English type of things. We have to remind people we don't live in a country with a national language. It's not English. There's a majority of people in our country that speak English. If you live in a city like Kelly's, she's from Chicago, she should understand this, right? That there's plenty of languages that are spoken, depending on what pockets of the city you're in. I live in a traditional Mexican neighborhood. 3 miles away is a traditional Chinese neighborhood where all the signs are in Mandarin, and that's a beautiful thing to have different pockets of diversity all around. I came from little Armenia, little Bangladesh. We have Tokyo. All this is a good thing. But what that means is communication can be tough. But I don't think if somebody leaves their wallet in somebody else's place of employment that they should have to then speak the customer's language. We understand that, right? I'll share a personal story in a minute about an experience I had with someone who left a phone in my car as a former Uber driver. So she has this whole thing. This is all Uber is giving me, so I'm not allowed to contact him anymore, even through text. So Uber responds to Kelly's complaint. Thanks for clarifying that to me. I just checked and your driver hasn't responded to our message yet. We have already reached out to your driver, Ehab, about your wallet 3 hours ago. We told him it's very urgent and asked him to call you at to coordinate a return once he finds it. And she said, okay, is he responding or can you give me his number? And I can understand Kelly's frustration too, that there's a middleman here. The Uber support says drivers come from all corners of the world, and for some, English may not be their first language. They can translate our message, though, and text you. Since the driver doesn't speak English, we suggest sending a text message instead. As much as I would like to help you, due to our privacy notice, I'm unable to share the driver's number without his permission. And you can understand why, right? You can understand if a driver has to deal with an unruly passenger and kicks them out. The last thing you would want is for Uber to just give your personal information to the passengers. You can understand how this could be a problem. I don't think Kelly understands the protecting of the drivers is pretty much the most important thing here, because no one's going to want to drive for your company if you don't protect them. And if drivers already have had so many issues with, and of course, don't get me wrong, passengers as well. It's a delicate situation, but it's a very vulnerable place to be driving people around drunk and people late for their flights and this and that. It can be a very tough situation for the driver. Someone who's barely making minimum wage. Trust me when I say that. When you deal with the expenses of Uber, you're barely making minimum wage. Cassidy says, she's so brave for this. So Cassidy responded with snark. And then again, Cassidy responded to her response and said, also, sorry, I'm obsessed with this, but any recommendations? Is sending me like, what do you think people will recommend? LOL. And then Cassidy said, hate when people don't speak enough English to help me solve problems they had nothing to do with. Again, each of these criticisms is valid. I think some people commenting on this said, hey, Cassidy, maybe one slam. Is this a 3-tweet worthy slam? But either way, each one of those, or it's like workshop which of these you want to have as your final slam, because as we know, with efficiency of words, sometimes less is more. Like one of these, boom, would have been good, but 3 maybe too much. But that's okay. Hey, she's allowed to do this. So anyway, it's interesting with Cassidy is I can't believe her followers haven't grown. She's at 11,000 on Instagram. She really comes from the post-Instagram generation that's not performing as well. Now, don't get me wrong. You have people like Susie Evans and others that have gotten in the mid 500,000 range, but 11,000 is paltry for going on a dating show and really not getting much out of it. She doesn't get paid, and now she doesn't even get an influencing sort of although she did say she wouldn't monetize her account. I think that's a bad. I think it's. I would never say never is what I like to say, because we're moving to a world where influencing is not going away, even if Instagram's going down a little bit. I don't know if you guys know, but like the budgets for content creation and social media is through the roof for companies. They want to reach niche audiences, which is why channels like mine can do so well, because we have a very specific and loyal niche audience. And speaking of our loyal and niche audience, don't forget we have our Single Mom of the Day. It's our final one. Last chance to get presents before Christmas. Link in the comment section if you want to donate to our Single Mom of the Day. So yeah, Kelly is from the golden age of influencing. She really is. She's kind of from that Hannah Brown age. She's got 791,000 followers. She was never even a finalist on the show. Let's go to her Instagram stories and see if there's any updates. Here she is in Central Park. Beautiful Central Park. If you want to check out our trip to Central Park, we've got it. Link in the comment section if you want to check that out. There's Pilot Pete getting some hot chocolate. There it is. Very beautiful. Holding hands. Very nice. There's Kelly and Pilot Pete. I don't know if she found her wallet or maybe he's footing the bill there. So there they are in Central Park, one of the most beautiful places in the world to be, let alone during the Christmas season. So anyway, I guess Ref Dave, when I adjudicate experiences with Cassidy slamming Kelly, I understand that Kelly provided Cassidy with some ammo here. Doesn't mean Cassidy needed to take the shot, but all fair. Now, my one story as an Uber driver with an irate passenger. A passenger left their phone in my car. You have to understand, the only time you make money as an Uber driver is when you're driving. Idle time, you get paid very little. So that the bulk of your money is made how many miles you're driving. If you have a 10-mile drive that takes you 3 hours because of traffic, you're not going to make that much money. But if it's non-traffic hours, 10 miles, you can make that money real quick. Well, it was late at night. The only time drivers work late at night is because you can get paid more money because of surge pricing, because people are getting out of the bars. They're spending money going to and from dinner. So that's a good thing. It encourages drivers to be on the road. Well, I had a passenger completely wasted leave their iPhone in my car. By the time I had noticed and they had noticed, I was already on the other side of town, probably half an hour drive away. And they were adamant that I returned their phone right then when it was probably 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, which is approaching a peak time to work. The reason you leave your families and get out of bed at those hours and put yourself at risk with drunk drivers is because you can make 2, 3, 4 times as much money. It is not the time of day where you drive someone's iPhone back to them. So my response to them was, when the rush is over at 2 a.m., I can return it to you then, or I can leave it somewhere and then you can go pick it up. And they were like really upset. Why are you holding my iPhone hostage? And it's like, look, buddy, it's not my problem to resolve right now. I don't get paid. It's just like this Uber driver doesn't get paid to return her wallet. What the Uber driver can decide to do is, you know what? I'm just going to stick it in a UPS box, or I'm going to stick it in the mail station, or I'm going to leave it with a fire truck. They can decide to leave it somewhere and let it be someone else's problem, which is probably way more dangerous than just holding on to it and getting back to her a couple hours later when they safely can. So I'm always on the side of the worker here who's just trying to make their money in a freelance job where they don't get paid to solve Kelly's problem. It's like, Kelly, this is a you problem. This isn't a driver problem. How it ends, sure. I mean, morally speaking, it'd be nice to try to get someone's thing back to them. But also, like I said, they don't get paid to do that. And if you live in a world like, it's such a dumpster fire out there. We had to return a package to Amazon, and they for whatever reason, we had to go to the Whole Foods where the Amazon was located. And the Amazon person who worked there just like flat out quit. So we were waiting at 6:30, maybe 6:15 p.m. for an Amazon person to show up to work the station at Whole Foods, and they just weren't there. Nobody knows what happened. But I was like, look, I don't blame people for maybe rage quitting their job that doesn't pay well. I don't blame people for saying, enough is enough, or this isn't set up well. It's like you get what you pay for, and this is what you get. You want a freelance economy where we hire Ubers because we save a few bucks? Well, they don't care to return your stuff because they're just trying to scrape by and make money so our friend over here who drives an Uber can have a couple presents under the Christmas tree or whatever religious holiday they celebrate. All right, folks, so that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. More content coming your way. We will be live on the Patreon 10 a.m. this morning, and also have a fresh Bachelor Rush Hour podcast for you this afternoon's Rush Hour. We'll see you in a little bit.